We're
What's
ready
going
to
on,
go.
everybody? Walter Parker, the Minister of Mortgage. Wearing my hat here, Jeremy. I didn't even talk about this, but no borrower left behind.
Okay.
Here today with
like
Monday Madness with the one and only Jeremy Kane, Mr. EXP Extraordinaire. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys? How's everything going over there? I heard you were in Vegas last week. How'd that roll?
It was incredible. The information overload switch was definitely on. Technically, today they were having another class. I had to come back home a little early due to just some making sure taking care of family first, right? So I missed out on today's marketing, but I actually have appointments, follow-ups from Barry Habib to Renee Rodriguez to hearing from the top real estate agent in the U.S. right now. From every aspect of it, credit repair, you name it, we had so much coverage on everything real estate. And I'm excited to share with you guys just even a little smidgen of it today.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that I just tagged you on Facebook, so there we go. There, got that.
All
done.
right.
But yeah, I know that you asked that question, and I think my response was LOL. So I don't think that's what you're looking for.
It's funny. I had maybe like 3 realtors that said, "Oh yeah, prices are going to definitely go down," out of like 75.
Right.
So you do the percentages, you can tell real quickly. Yeah, over 96% all agree. There's no way pricing is going down. And people say they bring back the bubble, and we had hard facts and numbers, and I like to deal with that instead of opinions. I don't know about you, but
data, that's cool.
Yeah, data. Actual real life data. That's an amazing concept, right? Show me the numbers, show me the proof, show me the money.
We won't go into where that's affecting other aspects of our
life. right.
We'll let you talk about this.
We don't want to get tagged on Facebook for misinformation, right? But here's the thing: if you go back to 2002. Because I want to address something real quick. There's a lot of talk about, we're headed for a lot of foreclosures. We're not. We've got more equity in homes than we've ever had in the history of this country. And equity is growing very quickly every month, every day. So you do have a lot of people that are up for possible, they're in deferment. And so some people that have not been making payments for a good year, now over a year. And so there's a lot of concern in the market. What happens when these people foreclose? Well, that's a large assumption that one, they're not going to be able to renegotiate their loan with their current lender. The lender realizes they do have equity in the property, but even more so, everybody on those lists will be getting at least 25 realtor calls saying, instead of losing your home and making no money, how about you walk out of your home with $50,000 in your hand and, still be able to go rent somewhere, right? So we have this one. But let's go back to what the conditions were like in 2007. 2007, we had the largest abundance of homes on the market. We had over 3 million homes, early 2008, I should say. And lenders had pretty much no guidelines to lend off of. You had pick-a-payment loans where you could do negative AM. People were doing 2-year ARMs. People were they were doing loans where you could just make up what you made. There was no documentation even being done. And so, of course, when you have an overabundant supply of homes, you have people buying 4 and 5 homes at a time, not even just buying the home they live in. You have all this wildness. If you never watched The Big Short, go watch it. You can see the state of the market. A lot of people that knew the numbers knew this was going to collapse, right? Barry Habib, probably the biggest authority on mortgage deals, he was the one actually talking about this and stated, he was one of the early guys saying years before it happened, we're headed for a collapse. So you could see it. And one of the big things he utilized is that the average first-time home buyer age is 33. So we see a lot in the market determined by 33-year-olds, to be honest with you, as far as for that first-time home buyer, people entering the market. Now, what's that going to do with supply and demand? Let's fast forward to where we're at today. We have 1 million homes on the market, 1 million total nationwide, new construction, everything, right? That's 1/3 of what we had in 08. The other thing is we had one of the biggest population drops for 33-year-olds from 2008 to 2011. If you go look it back and you back it all the way back to where the 33-year-olds were born then it was right after Roe versus Wade was put into legal action. So what we had was when abortion became legal, population growth dropped immediately. So you have this perfect storm of big supply of inventory, low supply of buyers. The supply outweighs the demand. Now we're at this side now where we have the largest, over the next 3 years, we have the largest boost in 33-year-olds each year.
9 million or something.
Yeah, 9 million over the next 3 years. We have 1 million homes on the market. That's not even considering people that want to buy up. In some cases, people that are renting right now that are past the age of 33 that still have not bought. How many people put career first, buying a house second, or starting a family second? So as that age gets older and older, that 33 number also gets a little bit older. So you put those things together, we're going to have a very, very short supply and a very high demand, at least for the next 3 years. And when you look at that, just common economics, supply and demand, more demand than supply causes the price to go up. If anybody's ever bought something on eBay that everybody wanted, very simple put, where can you find a PS5 in stock at a store, right? But if you go online, you could buy one. You may pay $1,000, twice the price of what it really is. But people are willing to do that because it's been almost a year. The PS5's been out. No one's been able to get it. So, that's a small scale thing, but it's very similar in the housing market. That's why people are paying over appraised value. And there's a lot of people taking it, well, I'm just going to rent another year. Okay. So your $400,000 house this year, it's going to be $460,000 next year. You want to not only lose your money in rent, but you're going to pay this, and you've got more people you're going to be competing against with that 460. So you're going to have to downscale your taste, get a smaller house than what you could get now. And you're still going to be competing. That you think 400,000 is a hot commodity now, 12 months from now, it's going to even be that much harder to get. So, because again, it's going to be smaller. You're looking at more affordability for the first time home buyer. And so the only good news that we do have, and it won't benefit you to wait, because again, the equity is still there, is that they are predicting that rates towards the end of 22 and 23, probably between now and then, we're going to go up, but they will come back down because we are expected to go into a recession next year due to inflation.
Yeah, inflation ain't slowing down anytime soon, Walter.
No. You go to McDonald's to get a Big Mac meal. It used to be like $3 and $4. It's now $10 to get a Big Mac meal. Come on,
for sure. And it's still the same garbage, And
it is.
I'll tell you right now,
quality didn't get better.
Right, we're sitting between 15 and 20% appreciation in most neighborhoods in the Denver area, and I don't think people are getting 15 to 20% raises. So if you were shopping at your high water mark, just with appreciation, you're going to be priced out a little bit, and you're going to be looking at something different. So it's just that much more. And as a realtor myself, I definitely kind of try and get those younger people, into homes, graduate college, get in your first career. My nephew just got into the police, or got through the police academy. He got his badge in June, and I said, let's go. You got a regular paycheck. You're buying a house. So we're going to get him under contract on a place here. And, it's just starting that piece of the pie. Once you start, then you always have that equity to fall back on. So
you do.
And if all of the numbers, say we throw all the numbers out and don't worry about the statistics like some people like to do, and we do see some sort of recession or, housing bubble, if you will. In 2008, we lost 19%, and we've gained, 17, 18, 19% in a year. So we're really just playing with house money. Even if that were to happen, which it will not happen, in my opinion, and Walter's opinion, Barry Habib, who's smarter than both of us, especially with that piece, and many others, even if, all the cards went crazy, which, we'll see, that you're going to lose 19%. Maybe that was the biggest recession caused by the housing market. The bubble was everything. The whole economy crashed because of the housing market in 2008. And that's that's what we lost is 19%. We gained that over the last 365 days.
And I will say the reason why we lost that then is not anywhere where we're even in the same ballpark or arena now. And that was because of really crappy lending practices, right? We didn't have Dodd-Frank. We didn't have certain disclosure practices. And it was the Wild West. You just throw anything, it's going to stick because people are always gaining equity, right? No one is banking on gaining equity when you get a loan. Like if you do 20,000 over appraised value, the bank is still not going to stretch and give you 20,000 more than appraised value. They're only giving you what it appraises for. So no one's banking as far as on the lending side of being frivolous or non-fiduciary with their responsibility on what they're lending. Humongous difference from what that was in 2008. I mean, you could look at it and yes, you could point to the banks. The banks caused the problem in 2008. That's not the case now. This is simple supply and demand. People say, well, it can't keep going up. There's no evidence saying that it won't. There's every evidence that's saying that it will continue to go up. And of course, there'll be a cooling off point. But if we're 4 years in and say, Jeremy, let's just say at 15% a year, and if we just broken down simple math numbers, 15% of 400,000 would be what, 60 grand. So 60 grand and then 15% off of 460, you're now, so you do that for 4 years. I mean, you're going to be in the 600s. Yeah. And I will say this, is 401k that stable? And, is the stock market that stable over the next, 2 to 3 years? So one thing I really started taking to heart is that, we don't talk enough about how this is, for many people, a retirement plan, buying a home. And it can, it's huge when you think about the amount of equity. So let's just say there's a cooling off 4 years from now. And we've had 3 years of gaining 15% equity year over year. You're up to, say at that point, close to about, 600,000. We'll just say $600,000. So if you lost 10% equity, you'd be at 540. That you bought the house for $400,000. Yeah. So you're still at 540. You still got $140,000 in there. If the stock market goes down and we have a big falling out of your tech stocks or 401(k), however you have your 401k invested, if it loses half overnight, you don't have that cushion. You've only been gaining maybe 3 to 5% a year. So absolutely, everyone should be running. And the only time I say don't buy a house is if you're going to move in 8 months. Okay, may not be the best time for you to buy, right? If you're moving out of state in the next 8 months. But if you actually can have a little bit of capital left over and you can turn that into a rental, maybe you still should buy, buy it, own it, rent it, let someone else pay your mortgage, right? And about that being a property manager.
Yeah, with the interest rates and stuff like that, the cash flow is second to none. Always have that backup plan. Say you meet the love of your life or something and want to move across the country and the housing market's, slower, a little bit down, whatever, when that happens, just be able to rent it for your mortgage payment and it'll come back. Like, people need homes. Like, it's a basic need of survival is shelter.
And so those that can afford to buy a home is going to drive up the renters market. I mean, it will. I mean, we think that, we're seeing in some cases 25% jumps in the rental market area. So again, utilizing your home as your personal investment. Not enough people really, I don't think, put a lot of thought in that. They just think about this place to live. I got to pay a monthly rent, so I might as well make it a mortgage. Yes, but there's also a financial planning aspect of this that is golden for you in the years to come. So if you want to stay in a house, say 5, 6, 7 years, you've got some equity now, and you have options in your life that somebody who's renting has zero equity, and every bit they've paid has gone away. They got zero return.
And get in now. You're 22, 23, 24 years old. You may only be able to qualify for a $300,000 to $350 mortgage. It might not be the greatest place to live, but if that's worth $400 and you have $100,000 and you started with zero, as a down payment assistance, or maybe 10 grand for 3%, whatever, you're way ahead of the game. And all of a sudden you're playing with house money when you're going to buy that next home. And then, maybe you can get your forever home 2 or 3 homes down the line, but you're playing with equity at that point instead of earned cash. Like I have 7 doors right now, and I got them all off of one, my college home. And
Yeah.
then, my college home turned into, that. And then I bought my first personal home as, with low down payment, that was during the Obama years with the $8,000 tax credit. And we basically took that equity and turned it into our personal residence. And now, so it all started with one. And now I have 7 doors, one personal residence, a second home that I rent out short term, and 5 rental doors, which are all paying for themselves. So if you don't get in, if I didn't have a home and my dad didn't help me when I was 18, 19, get into a home, and then he was obviously so kind to hand that over to me because I managed it and whatever, my life would be very different right now. But I got into one, and now I have, eventually I could cash flow that to make $100,000 a year,
right?
Profit, and then I don't have to sell 50 houses a year anymore, Walter. So, yeah, guys. That's kind of the bottom line, and we hear it. It's kind of a rotating cycle because right now the market's just a little bit slower, normal, seasonal, back to school, whatever. And we're not seeing 40 offers, but that's just your opportunity. The interest rates are great, I believe, still, and
they are. We're still seeing 3 and below 3 interest rate, which is crazy. And yes, we've had some weeks where it's gone up a little bit and it's gone back down, and it's going to be a little more sporadic. So, the quicker you take action, you can lock it in when it is down. If it goes up, come on, 3.5% being a high rate.
Right.
That's I have not in my lifetime seen rates like this, right? And it stayed down this long. And so literally, it takes a little bit of cash, but people always say, well, I don't have the money saved. Do you have family that can help you out and maybe gift you some money? Because, lending does allow for that, and it doesn't take 20%. Again, that's the big misconception. Conventional loans start at 3% and FHA is at 3.5%. And if you want to live way out in the middle of nowhere, we can do USDA for 0% down, So there's lending options to make it very minimum investment. But here's the keys about it though. With all the madness and everything going on, I've had some borrowers and sometimes it's to their own demise that they'll stay out there and not under contract. But if you have it's really important who your lender is, but it's even more important once you get pre-approved that you have an aggressive realtor that knows exactly how to talk to the listing agent, how to lock it in. And, and that's something I feel like, when I work with Jeremy, I know he's going to advise the client. Now, you can only lead the horse to water. You can't make them drink, right? But if they take his advice, they're probably going to win the contract because he's already talked to the listing agent. If they try to shortchange the offer, then you're going to be shopping for quite a while. But it's the market we're in, but it doesn't take, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. It helps you. You definitely makes it easier. But, if you have $20,000, you can still get into a home. It's very doable, especially in Colorado. It's a very doable thing. So it just makes no sense to sit on money. And what does it earn in your bank account and savings account? I can tell you as a former banker, 0.005.
1 penny a month. 1 penny a month.
Inflation is killing your savings right now.
Yeah.
You are literally losing money if you're sitting on it in a savings account. And every financial advisor worth their weight in salt will tell you, get it out of that savings account. You're losing money. I have $5,000 in it this year. Next year, I'll have $5,000 and maybe $5,000 and $25. And at the same time, it's only worth $4,500 of where it was worth $5,000 last year. So I lost money.
It doesn't protect you from the rain.
Exactly. You won't be begging or living out of your car.
A little bit. Also, what I'm seeing is buyers are like, "Oh, the market's slowing down a little bit. Like, is now not a good time to buy?" And these people are telling me this, and they're sitting there paying $1,500 to $2,000 a month rent. Like, what do you mean now it's not a good time to buy? No, get in because the competition's a little bit less right now because we're in the back to school, into summer. This summer was different because COVID, people were ready to roll. Like people were gone, traveled. I know I traveled a lot. Whether they're traveling across the country or out of country, like I did, a little bit more risky. or just, getting up to the mountains and doing their thing, camping, whatever, people were gone. So there was less competition. And absolutely, like, I believe once we pass Labor Day, I think it's going to be on. And I think it probably will be similar to this last year, where we pretty much took Christmas Day off, but that was it as far as competition and things going on. So I know next spring is going to be there, but don't be shocked if we're hitting the ground running come, even November, December. Those months can be crazy too. So
we had our biggest January, February this past year, and that was even before the onset of all the way over appraised values. And people are saying, hey, January, the last year or two has been really, and so a lot of people in Colorado feel like it's hibernation. Buyers are not out there. It's not a good time to sell. That's not true. And I think it's going to be even more so this year, that it's going to be a hotter market throughout the entire winter. Yeah. I don't think it's going to slow down.
I know people on my team at EXP, we're going to be really ramping up for, coming off of agent moving season in October, November, and December. We're going to be hitting the ground running and making sure we're crushing January, February, closing deals and getting a good start on 2022.
Listen, there's a big thing, and I'd encourage everybody to reach out to Jeremy and talk to him. If you're part of a company that doesn't do any sharing, period, of money that's made, but there's a huge difference between profit sharing versus revenue sharing. So there you go.
Yeah, hopefully, we're getting it going. We got the JK team going through the Colorado Wolfpack, and we'll definitely help you become financially independent. We talked about it today on a call. You got to be financially independent, you got to be time independent, and you got to be healthy to live your dreams and do what you want to do. So we're working on all that.
Love it. And I just found out, apparently I just got awarded something at the conclave. Okay. That I missed today. So I just got the commitment award.
Cool.
Marketing.
You're committed.
And helping my realtors and partners. So what, I'm committed. I'm here. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
No.
Perfect, Walter. Have a great one, man. And
thank you.
If anybody has any questions on what we're doing in 2022.
Thank you. We'll talk to you guys soon.